In today's episode, it's a less than ideal view in the middle of qualifying after an incident with our main rivals in the season, and it's chaos in a rain-affected sprint race weekend here at Spa. But that's coming off the back of an already difficult race. You know, we've had some really good successes and consistency in the last few races, you know, getting up there, but Silverstone was just a case of stone cold. We did not have the pace to really challenge for the top positions. And then added headache in the middle of the race was a telemetry fault that wiped out our heads-up display. We were driving blind for the rest of the race whilst it was Porsche domination as Williams Porsche took a 1-2 for the British Grand Prix for their home race. And it's unfortunately now really, you can say, 2 for 2 on some unlucky or not absolutely fantastic race results with our one-off liveries this season. Although you guys really enjoyed that classic XJS throwback livery, which I appreciate in the last episode. So far, the one-off liveries, they've been great for aura farming, but nothing more, which really kind of describes Ferrari's season, I guess, in 2025. Back to our normal car now as we go into the Belgian Grand Prix with actually, if you notice there, an AI supplier upgrade on the engine. So that's the engine supplier upgrade that you have no control over, but looks like those have come in for not only us, but it'll be the AI team. So maybe the entire grid getting a slight engine power upgrade, and God knows we need it in the Jaguar car, one of the things we're lacking, and that might make this race and Monza coming up as well a little bit difficult, as we've seen over one lap. The car's not always been there, but recently we have got a front row driving as Oscar Piastri at the Austrian Grand Prix, and we went on to win that race, and we're now going to be driving as that man again as you swap over from Antonelli to Oscar. Let's hope we can try and relive some of that magic from Austria here in Spa.
Welcome to the behemoth that they value so highly. This is Spa. It's high speed. It is really challenging. We have elevation, we have dramatic corners, and we have one driver in a few moments' time who will take pole position.
I think with how the calendar is now, with Qatar dropping off for Season 5 here compared to Season 4, this may be our one and only sprint race weekend of the season. So a very unique unicorn sort of race weekend in the middle of this one as we cross over the halfway point. Sonoda ahead of us had just finished his lap, so I was hoping he'd get out of the way before we climb the hill. And as we go up the Kemmel Straight, Sonoda, what are you doing? Yuki, not for the first time, an absolute mare with our car as the Porsche rivalry continues. Our former engine supplier in the back of that Williams car, what are they playing at? He turned left into us as we went over the crest. Unbelievable. Absolutely. Just what are we doing? What are we doing here? So that's only going to make tensions higher between ourselves and Williams Porsche. They were already, you know, quite high from what's happened in the past. You know, not the first time that Tsunoda's turned into one of our cars. It was Antonelli at Monaco, and that took us out from the race lead. At least this is in a sprint quali where we've actually carried on. We did well to lock the front brakes and stop that car spinning off into the wall. So intact, we've gone again, but due to the nature of the shortened sprint quali that we do when it's a sprint weekend, I had no choice but to carry on. And this is still the same set of soft tyres that just went through that pirouette spin. So maybe not the most ideal situation ever, but this is the only set of tyres I have, and we don't have time to come back in and go again and kind of put a heat cycle through them. So whatever we get is whatever we get, and what that is 7th place. Antonelli P4. It's Lando Norris, the reigning champion in Mercedes, on pole position. It's a bit of a disaster for Ocon and Ferrari, way down the order outside the top 15. Verstappen as well, and McLaren looking a bit slow in P11. It is not just a topsy-turvy sprint for ourselves then, clearly, but others as well. So I mean, usually a sprint would be a chance to maybe do a bit of homework for the full quali and full Grand Prix, you know, for Verstappen and Ocon specifically, to try and make up for things, you know, come the Sunday. But here in the sprint, as you can clearly see, we're in for a wet and wild one. So how much learning we're going to do about the full Grand Prix, I don't know, as we go to lights out, and we're underway for 8 laps of a soaking Spa. Intermediate conditions. Antonelli has had a mare of a start. He'd been jumped by Tsunoda and ourselves into turn 1, drifting our way through, being very wary of where Kimi is. Yellow flags behind. I think a couple of cars have got caught up amongst each other. There may have been a crash at turn 1, but right now, focus on the climb up the hill. Gasly just ahead of Bortoleto. Not for too long. Bortoleto gets up into P2, is it? As Norris still leads the way. It's maybe 3 wide then. Albon, Gasly, Bortoleto fighting. Tsunoda trying to get in the mixer, and we actually wave Antonelli by on the left-hand side because I'm being very cautious with Kimi, of course. He is the one, you know, higher up in the championship, so if I can help it, I don't want to run over and trip over Antonelli. Yes, as other people are doing. Behind us, there's a big trip over behind us, and it's enough to cause a red flag, as there was a huge amount of carbon fiber there on as we just went down the hill. And let's see the replay then on board from the Oh my God. That is a confetti of carbon fiber as the Renault and the Audi are stricken. And that is an amazing POV from the Haas car there. So that's why there's a red flag, for good reason, to be honest. So now the sprint, it's a sprint within a sprint as we now restart on lap 3. Antonelli has a chance to make up for that really sluggish start on the first 5 red lights. Look at Verstappen though. Oh my God, Verstappen with a huge dive bomb, going for the double overtake nearly on both myself and Kimi. He hasn't quite managed it on the exit, and there's been another crash behind at turn 1. There's a train of cars, and it's spearheaded by the Mercedes of Carlos Sainz. I think that is out. We've nearly gone into the back of Tsunoda and taken avoiding action with him, and it's the second red flag of the same sprint. That is so we've had this is a third sprint inside of the sprint. It's lap 5. We have not completed a single competitive lap of this sprint yet. Third time's lucky, I suppose, on lap 5. This time Verstappen doesn't get the jump, and instead we're the ones taking inspiration from Verstappen's jump off the last set of 5 red lights, and we dive bomb Tsunoda and Antonelli. That one, I can't lie, was a bit personal. That was kind of payback for what happened in the sprint race. You know, just get the elbows out and squeeze them out for P5. So it's still, through all of these restarts, Lando Norris holding his nerve for P1, but for how much longer? Albon trying down the inside, not quite. The Ferrari stays in second place. Gasly in third. Bortoleto to P4. The top 4, to be fair, they've done well. They've not really cracked on the pressure of 3 race starts, whereas obviously myself, Tsunoda, Antonelli, Verstappen, we've been swapping around at every single 5 red lights moment in this still soaking sprint race as we make an error going through the right-hander. Very slippery, that part of the circuit. You can see there is a slight dry line, but it's anything but. It doesn't feel dry whatsoever, but I guess it's just less damp compared to other patches of the circuit. So that's making the racing line picking one a little bit difficult when you're trying to go side by side or through some of these quicker corners as we squeeze out Tsunoda, repass him, and I'm honestly trying to help out Kimi just to get that one position out of spite, really, from, again, what happened in sprint quali. If that never happened, I probably wouldn't bother trying to help out Antonelli there, get one over Tsunoda. But now I'm basically in the mind of, I want to, you know, pay him back a little bit for that demise in sprint quali, because I felt like we could have actually done better in the sprint based off Antonelli's pace over one lap. But it's going to be Lando Norris. It's been a long, long while, but I think this is the reigning champion's first win, either sprint or Grand Prix in the season, which is pretty crazy and showing how much things have changed. As into the final corners, we've defended Tsunoda in such a way that Antonelli on the last lap, last corner, gets the position, and that is my payback complete on Yuki and Williams Porsche. As you can clearly tell, the relationship has gone down the toilet with ourselves and our former engine supplier. As far as I'm concerned, they are enemy number 1, I would feel, at this stage of the season. As well, it's a so-so 5-6. It was a wet race, so it's very hard to tell what the pace is going to be like let's say in the full Grand Prix. Also things change from the sprint to full quali. We've seen that many times. So let's see if Norris, Albon, Gasly, Bortoleto, if they're still up there. Obviously, big question marks about Ocon, and Ocon and Verstappen, because they were way down the order. So do they qualify better now in full quali? I guess we're about to find out, but that's quite big because Ocon's right up there in the standings, of course. Verstappen, he started off really strong in the first third of the season, but you've got to admit, we spoke about it last episode. It's really looking like the McLaren-Verstappen combo of last season, where they would sometimes start really quickly in a race and then slow up, and then they would have to come back effectively every race to just get, a P5 or P6. And it's kind of looking like that again, but maybe worse, because in Silverstone last episode, he just fell away completely and never really recovered even at the end of the British Grand Prix. So we'll see. But for us, first lap on the board then. Good enough for, well, it was P1 at the time. It's second place now. Colapinto on provisional pole. This might be his third pole position of this season. Remember, that Red Bull car has been very quick in flashes, but it's yet to win a Grand Prix. Will it be a third pole for Colapinto in the season today here in the full quali around Spa? We're only marginally quicker in the middle sector. We were slower in the first, and by the end of the lap, it will just be a mere few thousandths of a second to improve our second place, and it is going to be, well, another front row driving as Oscar Piastri. The last time we did this was literally the last time we drove as him, wasn't it? At the Austrian Grand Prix. So a little bit of deja vu there, but this time it's not Verstappen on pole, it's Colapinto. Verstappen, though, he has improved. P4 for him. Where's Antonelli? Oh, dear. Oh, no. Oh, dearie me. Ocon and Verstappen bounced back. They improved. Bortoleto fell away. Albon as well. And Antonelli down in 17th place. Oh, that's pretty crucial for him. Obviously, Ocon and Verstappen have had their fair share of, one or two races where they've been down the order. They've had to make a comeback. Antonelli, looks like it's his turn. I guess, in a weird, funny way, kind of always balances out with these sort of races where you have to make recovery drives. We've managed to do it before, and we've seen Piastri's AI do it before in Bahrain, if you remember. So let's see if Antonelli can come back from this. It's going to be a very tough circuit to do that, though, because we know our car isn't the best in a straight line, and it's all about that with the compromise of setups. So I guess we're just going to have to find out. Let's go to the full race.
It's the Belgian Grand Prix, the site of the maiden victory of the Jordan team in 1998. The venue that Michael Schumacher made his debut in Formula One. There is so much history here amongst the beautiful nature. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Franco Colapinto lines up on pole position, and Oscar Piastri completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Tsunoda, Aaron, Carlos Sainz and Ocon, Maloney, Norris, Pepe Marti and Liam Lawson, Albon, Bortoleto, Max Verstappen and Martins, Gasly, Antonelli, Nicola Solov and Jack Doohan, Stroll, Barnard, Crawford and Zach O'Sullivan rounds off the grid. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. Welcome to the commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes. Alongside me, a real authority on all things motor racing. It's a warm welcome back to Anthony Davidson. Now, those final hours before a race, did you have a routine?
Well, for them, you've got your pre-race rituals that you go through. You see different drivers that, some have got their headphones on, they're listening to the music. Some drivers really absorb the energy from the crowd and they're there waving to them. Other drivers, they go within themselves. They chat to their engineers, absorbing that information, that vital information that you need to carry you through the race. And, those pre-race rituals are essential to making things systematic. We do a lot of Grand Prix in a season, and the more systematic you can be, the easier you are within that environment.
It's all clear for the full Grand Prix on Sunday, which, whichever way you want to kind of look at it, might affect how things might go for Antonelli recovering in a weird way. He might have enjoyed a bit of rain. For me, I'm glad it's dry. We can maybe have a go at Colapinto. I think it's going to be crucial to try and jump him off the line and control the race from there. But to be honest, I'm not expecting a lot in terms of I feel like Williams are going to be very good in a straight line. Mercedes is there with Sainz. Norris won the sprint. He qualified a bit worse for the full quali, but I think they'll be a threat. And who knows, Red Bull might finally be able to challenge for their first win of the season with Colapinto on his 3rd pole position as we go to lights out. And we're on the way here in Spa. It's a slow start for Franco, and we're trying to use the ERS to get alongside through turn 1. The Red Bull's pinched himself in. He's got far too tight at the apex, and we have simply waltzed around the outside and got ourselves a 3/10 gap as well. Although, is that maybe the Red Bull's plan? Because now down the Kemmel Straight, he has the run, and he's coming straight back at us. The Red Bull Ford on the left, Paul Aaron on the right. The Williams Porsche, who won in Silverstone just last time out, is the one nearest challenging as he gets round the outside into 2nd place. So Aaron on a roll, you know, won against Tsunoda last race, and now is the lead. Williams in 2nd. Tsunoda's down to P5. Carlos Sainz has got him, and Maloney in the Cadillac up to 6th place. I didn't even actually notice Maloney qualified that well. If he did, then fair play, he solidified it, and if he just jumped up those positions, that's even crazier. Verstappen, P13. What's happened to him? I thought Verstappen definitely qualified better. He must have got a penalty that I missed on the grid sequence. Antonelli work to do, and he's tucked up behind the Dutchman as we go defensive on the cars behind. I was going to specify a driver, but it's hard to tell. Colapinto or Aaron trying to snap at each other for the right of way to attack me for 1st place. Colapinto on the left. We're going to get the elbow out, and a little bit more as the car drifts through the right-hander. Don't want to be doing that too many times as the rear locks, and the Red Bull now has a great run to Rouge up Radion, and Franco's going all the way. We've got on the curb. We had to step out of it. The curb nearly spat us out, and now we're being swarmed by 1, 2, 3 different cars. We're boxed in momentarily, and look at this. This is the worst POV you ever want to be in, as we're playing ping pong now with the Williams cars, and we ping Tsunoda off circuit. Aaron's got ahead, and it's Sainz out of anyone in 2nd place. Sainz has had a season to forget in the Mercedes team, and that team as a whole has not really reached the lofty heights they had last season, with Norris winning the championship versus ourselves, you know, with Leclerc and Tran. It seems like a time ago now to have those as our 2 drivers. But here now, locked in with Piastri, looking for the move on Aaron, pulling out with DRS, but it's tough. The Williams also has the rear flap open, but we're going to go for the dive, dip a tyre into the gravel for good measure, and we're still committed to this, and we just are going to get that, but it's tough work. It's tough work. Those Williams guys are so quick, and honestly, big mistake for Martins in the Cadillac. I was going to say Sainz and Colapinto are now pulling away, and nasty mistake for Martins there. It's a good thing that's not Maloney in the top 10, because Maloney's still P7 for the Cadillac team. But on to lap 4 then. Colapinto leads from Sainz. The gap is nearly 2 seconds. I'm finding it tough to close in on them as much as I'd like to. I'm trying to just get away from Aaron and Tsunoda, to be honest, and I'm hoping those two might fight each other and slow each other up as we see Antonelli in P14 now. Verstappen's recovered a couple of positions to P11. Antonelli still trying to get up positions as he struggles to overtake Lawson. And there you go, Tsunoda and Aaron side by side. They're losing time to each other as it's 3 wide. Antonelli, can't quite make the double pass, but he's struggling. Car off, car stricken in the middle of the circuit. Doing is it with a sheared off tyre. Martins coming at him at a rate of knots, narrowly misses him, and that's why the FI bring out a safety car then, because it was a bit dangerous there. The speed that Cadillac came through, and that Renault was just parked in the middle, so no wonder there's a full safety car. No red flag like the sprint though, so this is going to be, well, a little bit interesting, you know. We're on mediums. The strategy, I think, for most is just a one-stop on the hards. But I think, as you can clearly see, I'm going to come in. I'm going to come in. I think we know the Jaguar generally has had a tyre advantage. It may have not been very apparent at Silverstone, but I feel like it's been pretty solid so far in this race, and that's been the general characteristic of this car this season. Why don't we really push it to the limit and see if we can try and do something? Because realistically, I wasn't challenging Sainz or Colapinto. Under normal circumstances, I wasn't catching up to them. And I really fancy trying something to maybe go for the race win even. It would be quite cheeky to do so here with Piastri. And, a clever tyre decision was what won us the race in Austria with Piastri. And it might just do here. So, yeah, I'm on hards. And as you may have guessed from what I've just been saying, my plan is to go to the end from this set of hards. We've made a free pit stop, effectively, if we don't come in again. And all of these guys have to come in for that first pit stop of the entire race. So I think this could be a 300 IQ strategy if that tyre wear holds out and we have enough pace at the end on whatever tyre wear we do have. We're going to have to see. But first and foremost, as we restart, we are going to make a few positions up, I would hope, on the Audi, or two Audis coming up. We've just got Crawford. Going to go for Taylor Barnard next in the second Audi. And I think, the likes of Stroll, Soloff, all those guys, we can overtake with ease, hopefully, as we make... Oh, lovely move on Taylor Barnard on the left-hand side there. And now it's two cars fighting each other. Can we go for the 2-for-1 deal on the right-hand side, on the outside? Oh, banging tyres a little bit, but we get the move up to P15 and then looking to pass Stroll pretty soon after on the end of lap 7. Big gap to Antonelli then. So Stroll just showing how slow he is right now in the McLaren. He turned up to his home race, got a podium, and he's now checked out for the rest of the season again. And it really just shows what a wonder Verstappen is doing constantly, being much higher every single time. But yeah, Verstappen's going to be hating that fact in terms of at the start of the season. It really did look like McLaren was going to give him a car to be fighting for consistent podiums and multiple wins in the season. But he's only got one, hasn't he? Or maybe two at a push. I can't even remember at the start of the season because we've been flying through these episodes and it's unbelievable that we're already over the halfway point as we go for the move on Antonelli. Of course, this will be a pretty simple move because Antonelli has yet to make a pit stop like others and is just not looking that quick, to be honest. And it's a bit of an oddity, I felt like at the start of the season, Antonelli was very consistent as an AI, when I was driving as Piastri, but now not so much, and it's up to me when I drive as each driver to really make up the positions. They've both been very inconsistent as AI drivers of mine, which is a little bit poor, and not what we got, with the likes of Tramnitz and Leclerc and even Behrman, These guys are, being shown up a little bit by our former drivers because this has definitely been the most inconsistent our AI drivers have been so far, I think you'll agree, in the series, as we see moves happening up and down the field for ourselves, but for Marty on, I think that was with the Bortoletto in the Honda there, and Verstappen just made a brilliant move, that was, on the outside of Lando Norris to get up into 7th place. So he's recovering very well indeed as we're taking inspiration. I fancy an outside move, and this is going to be on Albon for 11th place. So we're nearly back into the points, but some really great outside moves happening in the middle sector here in Spa. Can we now go on to get Bortoletto and Marty, and then there's going to be a bit of a gap to Norris, and I imagine sooner rather than later the first pit stops will also be happening for all these guys, and we should just be into first place, and there should be a margin. The kind of question here is, what is the margin like? What's my tyre wear saying, in a couple of laps' time? And then can we balance it? Can we balance the tyre wear, the gap? And is that enough whereby at the end of the race, I guarantee whoever's in second is going to start catching us? Because can we hold them up? Can we stay ahead and use the track position to try and win this race? That's the big ticket question for this strategy. As well, we've got a first round of pit stops for people. There's some staying out, but Colapinto's in. He was the net race leader beforehand. Ahead of us, Norris, Ocon, and one other car, I think, of potentially the Willie. I think it was the Willie. Yeah, Sonoda in the Williams Porsche there, first place. And now we're going to take P1 with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Bit of a weird fastest lap because we were yellow in the first sector, but we take the lead of the Grand Prix. Gasly is in second because he is yet to pit, because I think he also came in under the safety car, but he did it very strangely one lap later. I'd already made my pit stop, so Gasly a little bit out of sync and a bit of a weird strategy for him. His teammates third, Sainz, Tsunoda 4-5, and Ocon was going to be fifth, but Aaron races him as he comes out the pit lane. So Ocon, imagine that, you come out the pits and you have to be straight on it, and Ocon's done well to repass Aaron to maintain 6th place, and Aaron actually is now going backwards. Maloney in the Cadillac has just overtaken the Williams Porsche. Maloney with a great pass, and Verstappen might just get done by Bortoletto, is it? Or Lawson, sorry. No, Verstappen gets it. It's the second time Verstappen's pulled off a really satisfying outside move at that particular corner, but that was very impressive from Ocon. Out the pits, managing to stay ahead. And Aaron looked a bit slow there. I thought he was going to get the Ferrari, but instead he lost position to the Cadillac. And Antonelli, P15. This has got to be the worst race we've seen for Kimi Antonelli in the season so far. I am sorry. This does not look like the same Antonelli that we've seen in flashes in previous AI races of his. And definitely not the Antonelli, of course, that we have driven as and, really, championed when we've driven as him. And so this is going to lose him massively in the championship. Maybe not as big as, it could be, because Verstappen's down the order. Ocon's not scoring as huge. Same for Tsunoda. But it's still a bit concerning for him, and we're going to need to bounce back driving as him next time out, as Norris has just overtaken Aaron. Aaron's got a problem. He's definitely got a problem. That car does not look like the same car that was leading the two Williams initially. And Tsunoda's P4 all fine, but Aaron is just going backwards and backwards. Soon he'll get overtaken by Verstappen, I bet. So that is a concern for him. As here we go. Lap 13. Verstappen's through. That car's definitely got some, I don't know, floor damage, something. Something's happened. Maybe he's just got one of those mechanical issues that's temporary. But yeah, big issue there. Bortoletto fighting Albon. Really great action going on here in the middle sector, but the sit rep is lap 13. Of course, if you look at the timing ladder, we're first. The gap is 8.6 on lap 13. One lap later, it's 8.3. So right now, we are as quick as Colapinto is on his newest set of hard tyres, but of course, our tyre wear will start to creep in sooner rather than later, as Verstappen looks to fight Norris for the second time, and for the second time in the race gets the move done on the reigning champ on the outside there into P7. Verstappen, great recovery for him, and that's the sort of recovery Antonelli's dreaming of, as Aaron is now behind Lawson and might be outside the top 10 soon. Definite problem for him, and Tsunoda's got a problem in a straight line. Ocon's quicker than him. Ocon up to 4th place, and Tsunoda down to 5th. So Williams Porsche maybe not as slippery in a straight line as I was thinking around here. Maybe they got the setup a bit wrong. Verstappen's definitely not got the setup wrong, as he overtakes Maloney. As on lap 17, though, by the way, if you weren't paying attention, the gap is now down to 2.4. So in the matter of 4 laps, Colapinto has brought the gap down by 6 seconds. So he is got some serious pace, and maybe we're lacking a little bit of overall pace. The thing is, though, the tyre wear's not that bad. It's just the fact that, like in Silverstone, in reality, we just don't have a lot of pace around here compared to others, and that's why I'm trying this strategy, because this is the only way we can try and win this race. Because look at this tyre wear. That's really not bad. For 4 laps to go, that's pretty good, considering we pit on lap 4 under the safety car. But the actual lap time pace, forget the tyres, the actual car itself just isn't quick enough, and that's where we're losing the time really to Colapinto. Obviously, there's a little bit of the tyre wear factoring in, because Colapinto, I bet his tyres are only the low teens at the moment, basing off our tyre wear maybe, but he's now here on lap 18. He is now well within a second. More than that, he's going to be negative nearly, as he nearly passes us on the left-hand side. We go defensive. We're going to have to be very clever with our driving, and that's going to mean maybe the Wally or Fox move. Oh no, I missed my break point. Oh, how could we possibly let him through at the apex? Well, now we are the chaser. Now we have DRS. This is Formula One chess on the grandest stage here as we now go for the repass on Colapinto. DRS opens, and that is going to be... The DRS so powerful down here as we nearly dump it onto the grass, but we get up into P1 once again, and so we're going to have to try and just keep playing this game. But the problem is Colapinto's so quick now here as we go towards Blanchimont. The Argentinian gets through into P1 a bit early, so now we're already behind before turn 1, but maybe that works out for us. Maybe we just stick through here. As long as we stick close enough through turn 1, we can basically just get that same move going, but through the final corners, we get a little bit of oversteer there. And Colapinto just gains 1 or 2 tenths, so into turn 1, we're half a second behind. Big snap over oversteer. And so we're wobbling the rear end, trying to find the grip. Colapinto, the gap is 7 tenths, so it's going to take a lot here, but you just saw DRS is so powerful. So as we climb the hill, down that Kemmel Straight, that iconic view from the banking of the spectators, and we power past Colapinto despite the big gap, because that is just how crazy DRS is on this circuit in Season 5 here with the maxed out cars. Obviously the max DRS upgrades, the drag reduction upgrades, etc. It's pretty crazy, but lap 20, we're just soaking up this pressure. And to be fair, even though we're, obviously we're having to toy with Colapinto basically quite a lot here, we're not losing that much time to the cars behind. The gap's still about 4.5, to 5 seconds to Sainz. As behind us, oh no. Oh, Colapinto lost a lot of time there in the final corner. There's no way we can let him by now. Was that on purpose from Franco? If it is, that might just be a genius move from the Red Bull. But I think that was actually maybe our own fault. We pinched him in too much in the final corner, and now there was no way to really let him by unless we were really driving quite silly in terms of letting off the gas. So we had to carry on, and now Colapinto's got that DRS. We've deployed all the battery to try and defend, and that's how good it is, the DRS there. We dumped it all. We were at 0%, and we still can defend. And so Colapinto is now ahead. We're going to narrowly still be within 1 second onto the last lap. The tyre wear is now starting to creep in a fair bit. We're up to 30% digits, and you can see on the rear end it is snapping away onto the last lap. We're second place. We're outside of DRS. I think the race win may have just been shot there. And it may have been our own fault. We may have just pinched Colapinto in a bit too much in the final corner. Or we can give him the credit, and he thought about, what we were doing, and he backed off on purpose to make sure we got the run down the Kemmel Straight. If that was the case, that was absolutely genius from him to maybe try and get Red Bull Ford's first win of the season, amazingly, at over halfway point. It's Sainz in third, by the way. Ocon, Tsunoda, Verstappen, Norris, very close together. A lot closer than you think, really. So that's a great recovery from Verstappen and Norris to be so close to those guys. Maloney, Lawson, Bortoletto is the top 10, and Antonelli sits outside of it in P12. It's a day to forget for our Italian stallion. Ocon in fourth, doing well to lead that train. Sainz, he's in no man's land. The Mercedes, having crashed in the sprint, really solid race from the Spaniard to get onto the last step of the podium, but I am pushing like a stabbed rat. I'm using all of the tyre, everything we've got, all of the battery as well. It's a green first sector, it's a purple middle, so we dug deep to really try and push this towards the last couple of corners. We are flying at Colapinto, but is it going to be enough? No, we're still so far back, and I am ruining this last corner on the previous lap because that has just handed this victory to Colapinto. It's a big moment for him. It's a big moment for Red Bull Ford, but it's Colapinto. I think his first win ever, or might be second. I think he may have won before in Honda in a previous season, but it's Red Bull's first win of the season. That's pretty big. A second place, though, is actually still pretty great when you think about the pace of the car.
What a drive! It's victory for Franco Colapinto!
A great display of dominance today by this driver. They led from lights out to the flag at the end, led every lap of the race. Brilliant stuff by them, and excited to see what more they can do in future races.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
It was certainly a big day in the championship in terms of Antonelli lost out a lot, and actually the biggest winner is Ocon. Ocon leads the championship again by 8 points. We're now only 1 point separating Antonelli and Piastri, which is crazy because I hope you'll agree. Really, Piastri's not had the best season up until maybe that first win in Austria, and we've really turned it around with him in the last 3 episodes. Verstappen's still there, Colapinto's now catapulted himself up. There's still so much to play for, but again, quietly, Ocon and Ferrari are the biggest beneficiaries of this constant swapping. They are the ever most consistent driver pairing so far, driver and car pairing. Guys, if you have enjoyed it, be sure to hit the like button. Let me know your thought in the comments below. When you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.